Dr. H. I've walked the path from coder to cloud leader. On this channel, I will share my journey and the lessons I wish I knew earlier. Hello everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night. Hello everyone. Depending on where you are in the country or in the world, welcome again to another session of talking about IT, tech, solutioning, architecture, whatever you want to name it. So like I mentioned in my previous videos, those videos will just talk about random things, either things that I recently worked on, things that are existing, something new in tech, literally anything. So there was this requirement that came from a client of mine, and the client really was like, you know what, we have this code pipeline that we set up. It has manual deployment. It has nothing to do with our production environment. We want our production environment to remain as is at this time, but we want you to implement it in our lower environment, and that's okay, right? So right now in the lower environments, they have manual configuration and manual steps, so they would need a situation where it would be an automated deployment process where developers can actually save time doing what actually matters the most. So they have this solution, this existing solution that they had was event driven. So if there was a change, maybe to their code repository in GitHub, it automatically triggers. So the event rule would find out what the change is, and then it will automatically trigger the pipeline. And that was what was happening, and they were okay with that, right? But they had a step where it had a manual approval to also approve it. Well, they came and they said, we don't want that anymore. We want you to build us an automated 90 deployment system using AWS, and this isn't just theory. This is an actual solution that I implemented for this client that eliminated the manual deployment and also saved countless hours of developer time. So stay tuned and listen to what I have to say next. So let me set the scene, right? So their team was spending valuable time manually triggering deployments. Like I mentioned, they were manually approving them, and then they had to manually run the database update script. So their database was the RDS database. So the current process was error prone, time consuming, often overlooked, and sometimes required after hours work. So they needed a solution that would automate the process and also maintain control and visibility across all boards and across all environments. Like I said, they only needed it in the lower environment, so they had 2 lower environments that they needed to work this on. So the solution I built uses different AWS services working together. The code pipeline for managing the deployment pipelines, the Lambda for executing custom logic, the events bridge for scheduling and event-based triggers, the CloudWatch for monitoring and alerting, Amazon SNS for notifications, Opsgenie for also alerting and notification, the systems manager, which is the SSM for executing the scripts on our servers, and also the secrets manager, because we had some secrets saved in secrets manager. We do not add code things. So let me show you how all of those pieces pretty much fit together, and that takes me to the technical dive. So our solution had 2 main Lambda functions. The deployment Lambda, which triggers our pipeline at scheduled times, and the DB scripts Lambda, that's the database scripts Lambda, and it executes the database update scripts after successful deployment. So the code pipeline would successfully deploy, and then the next Lambda would automatically trigger the database script to run specific scripts at specific path that was included as part of the code. So when the deployment completes successfully, the events bridge detects the state change and then triggers the DB scripts Lambda to run like the appropriate scripts on the application service. So in continuation, I packaged everything into the CloudFormation templates for easy deployment and maintenance. CloudFormation is an infrastructure as code, just like you have Terraform. Let's look at some of the key components. One, we have the IAM role and the permissions that are required, the Lambda functions and their code, the event bridge rule for scheduling and the event detection, the notification and the monitoring setup. The beauty of this approach is that everything is defined as code, which makes it maintainable, versionable, and easily replicated across environments. So you can deploy it in several environments without a problem. Monitoring is critical for automated systems, so I've set up a custom CloudWatch dashboard for visualize the deployment, as well as alarms for failures and timeouts, email notifications for successes and failures, as well as integration with Opsgenie for escalation. This gives us confidence that the system is working and immediately alerts us if anything goes wrong from anywhere. After implementing this solution, we immediately saw results. So we were able to eliminate the need for manual deployment tasks. We were also able to ensure the consistent database updates and freed up developer time. There was also a higher visibility, like a better visibility into the entire deployment process. So we're also able to reduce the risks that were associated with our manual intervention. Our developers now come each morning to find the latest code that was already deployed and is ready for testing. Some advanced features and extensions, though the system had some advanced features worth highlighting. One is the environment specific configuration, so you can easily scale it. It's highly robust across multiple environments, as mentioned before. It also had production safeguards that only allow deployments during maintenance windows and support for multiple applications. We had several applications in our case, as well as custom metrics for tracking performance and detailed logging for troubleshooting. So what happened next? I packaged everything into CloudFormation templates. Like, if you listen to me, I'm an automation person. I either use CloudFormation or Terraform or even Ansible. But in this case, I used CloudFormation templates for easy deployment and also maintenance. So let's look at some of the key components that was used. I used the IAM role with some permission that was required. I also needed to make sure that the Lambda functions was there, so I knew that the Lambda function was what will be triggered, as well as had to include it as part of the CloudFormation templates. I also had the events bridge rules for scheduling and the events detection. Lastly, I have the notification and the monitoring setup. The beauty of this approach is that everything is defined as code, which makes it even more maintainable, versionable, reusable, and easily replicated across multiple environments. So, like I said, there were two different lower environments, but it can be used across multiple environments and even across multiple AWS accounts. The monitoring part was critical for automated systems. I pretty much set up a custom CloudWatch dashboard to visualize the deployments, alarms for failures, as well as timeouts, and email notifications for successes and failures. I don't like to spam people, so I make sure that this email notification, even upon deployment, you could click true or false, but I only set it to fail at the current stage, so it's only notify if the pipeline for some reason fails to run or fails for whatever reason. And then I also have integration with Opsgenie for any kind of escalation. This gives them the confidence that the system is working properly, and also immediate alerts if anything goes wrong or even before it goes wrong. The benefits and results of this approach is that after implementing this solution, we saw immediate benefits. Even the clients were impressed about it. It was able to eliminate the manual deployment task. It also ensured that there was consistent database updates. It also freed up the developer time and also provided better visibility into their deployment process. And lastly, it was also able to reduce the risk that was associated with the manual intervention. The developers can now come in each morning to find the latest code already deployed and also ready for testing. How cool is that? It just runs 10 p.m. or 9 p.m. or 6 p.m. depending on the time that was set up, and then in the following morning they see it's already deployed. So this system has some advanced features worth highlighting. I would like to mention that it has the environment specific configuration, and also it has production safeguards that only allow deployments during maintenance windows. So even though the clients mentioned that it's only for the lower environments, I did set up the code in such a way that anytime they want to activate the production environments, they could do that. But even at that, I already put in the production safeguards that would only allow deployments during maintenance window. And the way it's set up is just like a switch of a flip of a switch, or however you call it. So you can turn this environment on or off, and it will run if you don't want it to run. And then it also has support for multiple applications. So in this case, we had several applications, and I was able to incorporate the support in there. It also had custom metrics for tracking the performance, and then lastly, it had detailed logging and troubleshooting. That detailed logging and troubleshooting, we still have a phase 2 of this project. So watch out for my next video, because I'm going to talk about the next phase 2. But I would like to share some key lessons that I learned while building this one. Was to start simple and iterate. I began with the lowest of the lowest environments, which was very safe to test, and then I tested thoroughly before enabling it in more environments. Logging is very crucial for troubleshooting, and I also made sure that the IAM permissions are correctly configured with least privilege and following AWS best practices. And also consider edge cases, like what happens if the deployment is already in progress. So DevOps automation is like a game changer for development teams. It eliminates repetitive manual work, it reduces human error, and also lets developers focus on what they do best, which is building great software. And I hope this video was able to give you ideas for automating your own deployment process. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comment section. Thanks for watching, and happy automating. Follow for more ethical tech insights.